Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's another year of the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame. On this special, we're going to be talking with some of our inductees that'll be going into the Hall of Fame in the year 2025. We look forward to talking to Johnna Ballard Steenkolk, the great basketball player from back in the day. We're also going to talk with Steve Rooklidge, who was a member of the 1992 LCC Baseball NWAC championship team, who went on to be a star at the University of Portland. We'll also be talking with one of the great pitchers of all time, Misty Velke, the former Ari Long Lumberjill, who went off to San Diego but came back home for her sophomore year and dominated, leading the Red Devils to the NWAC championship. Speaking of great pitchers, another inductee going into our Hall of Fame is Jennifer Lybrand. And we'll also speak with Scott Lucas, one of the great dual sport athletes in LCC history. Scott was not only a great basketball player for the Red Devils, he was also a great player on the LCC baseball team that won that 1992 NWAC championship. And last but not least, we're going to talk with Bob Rose. Bob played 2 years for the LCC baseball team, and then he went on to become one of the all-time great referees in our area and a longtime booster at Lower Columbia College. Bob Rose, what a guy going into the LCC Hall of Fame. But at this time, let's check in with the president of LCC, Matt Seimers, and vice president, Kendra Sprague.
Hello, I'm Matt Seimers, the president of Lower Columbia College. One only needs to look around our athletic facilities, walk by our trophy cases, or see our championship banners in the gym to really get a sense of the talents and hard work of our student athletes and coaches over the years. I'd like to recognize our LCC head coaches. Our coaching staff is committed to developing student athletes to their full potential. They model persistence and determination and are deeply committed to the values that promote athletic excellence game after game, season after season. They are Joe Chicks, our women's soccer coach. Thank you, Joe, for your years of service and excellence and leadership of that team, and wishing you the best with your new position in South Dakota. Troy Shorey, women's volleyball. Mickey Polis, men's basketball. Lucas Myers, women's basketball. Kurt Lipinski, baseball. Tracy Fuller, women's softball. I would also like to take the time to thank our greater LCC community for the support of our athletic programs and student athletes. Without your support, we could not continue achieving the level of success that we are accustomed to. Thank you in advance for your support. Simply visit lccreddevils.com to make a donation to keep our athletes in the game. Go Red Devils.
Hello, I'm Kendra Sprague with the Lower Columbia College Foundation. Many of you have had a significant role in helping shape and sustain LCC's tradition of excellence, either on the court as athletes or in the stands as boosters and community partners, and we thank you for that support. The LCC Foundation is committed to sustaining successful and competitive athletic programs by raising support for the Athletic Excellence Fund. This fund was created to provide necessary funding for athletic scholarships and program support. Athletic scholarships are vital to keeping our students in the game. All proceeds raised from the celebration of our Hall of Famers goes directly to athletic scholarships. It is our hope that you will be inspired by the stories of our Hall of Famers and Hall of Fame inductees and feel led to make a donation in support of Red Devil athletics. Simply visit lccreddevils.com. Thanks to each of you for being part of this celebration. Go Red Devils.
Well, we continue on with our interviews with our 2025 Hall of Fame class. And boy, a chance to hook up with one of the great multi-sport athletes of all time at Lower Columbia College, and that's Scott Lucas that's with us. Scott, how you doing here today?
I couldn't be better. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Well, Scott, I know that it was a whirlwind 2 years for you here at LCC. You didn't have a lot of free time for yourself playing both basketball and baseball here, and then, of course, continuing your academics and everything. If you could just kind of tell our viewers out there what it's like to play two sports at one college and do it as well as you did.
What academics? Was there academics there? Yeah. It was an amazing experience. Something that I'll never forget, and it's something I continue, throughout my life. I've thought about it, and just what a wonderful place it was. It was very busy, but it had a lot of great experiences and made a lot of memories, and a couple of friendships that still remain to this day that came out of there. But it was nothing but good times there.
Well, you came out of Mountain View and you decided to head up north. And did you come to LCC with the thought that you were going to play both sports, or did you just start with hoop and decided to do both?
No, that was kind of the primary reason. Was I wanted to continue to play both sports, and I didn't quite have the talents to go the next level at both sports, so I decided to go there. And there was some convincing that was made by my parents to stick around because they wanted to watch me. And so, that was another reason why I kind of chose Lower Columbia. But instead of Clark College, I had to get a little distance, there, and feel like I got out on my own a little bit. But like I said, it was just a perfect landing spot for me at the time.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, let's start with hoops because that's what you started with first. You come in and all of a sudden you're playing for a guy like Jim Roffler, and there's never a dull moment with Jimmy Ray. You know that, and you guys won back-to-back division titles in your basketball years at LCC. What's the one thing that comes to your mind right away when you're talking about those teams and playing for Coach Roff?
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is just the camaraderie we had. That first season, it was kind of, at first we got off to, I think, a little bit of a rocky start, especially our first road trip. But after that, we started putting it together and went on one heck of a run, all the way to, the NWAC playoffs. And it took I think it was a perfect game by Jamie Boutin in the semifinals to knock us out. But just, the camaraderie that we had and almost, getting the championship that year.
Yeah, I know Joe Kinch was on both of your teams, and I think you still stay in contact with Coach. He's put together just an incredible coaching career at Kelso, and just some of the other guys that stick out. I know Rick Gardia was a great player also.
Yes, indeed. And I continued to play with him after college down in Oregon in the adult league. But yeah, he was a good guy to be with, and Joe's been a really good friend of mine since day one. Him and his family took me in, and I stayed with him that summer, my 2 summers there after my freshman and sophomore year, and we worked together at slow pitch softball umpiring, and had a lot of good times, him and I. So
that's awesome. Well, after your first year of hoops, then you get out there and get on that baseball team, and you guys win the championship in your freshman year. And I know the 92 team is going to be going into the Hall of Fame as a team, and hopefully you can make your way for that as well later in April. But it all came together for you guys that year, didn't it?
It did, yeah. That was the thing that comes to mind for that baseball team, is just how scrappy we were. There was a lot of sort of tough players. There was talent on the team, certainly, but man, it was every one of them, top to bottom, was a pretty scrappy and tough team. And it's an extension of the head coach, Steve Farrington. He was pretty intimidating at first, for an adjustment for me. But man, he did a lot for my career after that, and even my personal life. He was great to be around.
Yeah, great motivator for sure. Nobody works harder than Steve, for sure. Now, we talked to Steve Rooklidge a little bit earlier, and he thought that maybe his 91 team might have been even more talented than the team that won the championship, but a lot of the same attributes. Then there was the 93 team. It's tough to repeat.
Yeah, certainly. we were in it. I mean, we had the talent there, but you got to get the breaks and you got have the right matchups and such. And it just didn't fall in place, down the stretch and in the playoffs. But certainly, I think we had what it took to repeat. But it's like you said, it's tough to do.
Boy, it is. And a lot of the same guys were on both of those teams, and the big disappointment when you've won it, you're thinking, hey, we're the squad. Anybody from any of those teams that really sticks out as outstanding teammates of yours? I know Coach Rooklidge in that championship year, you guys were kind of the middle infielders doing a lot of stuff together. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, just up and down the teams, there's just like some really good characters. And we had a lot of stories, from the road trips and whatnot that I could sit around for hours and tell. But I think all of them really. I don't know if I can single out one of them. And Rooklidge being my middle infielder mate. He was such a great player. One of the sweetest swings I've ever seen. Clutch, and it came down to it. We needed a big hit, need someone on. Rooklidge was the man, and he was a player, quite the talent.
Yeah. Those two squads, man, they were pretty darn good for sure.
Yeah.
Is there? I mean, did you have a preference? I mean, did you consider yourself a basketball player in baseball or a baseball player playing basketball?
I guess whatever season it was, really. I just whatever shoes I laced up, that was what I was. And I loved them equally. It's just I love the competition, and so I continued that on afterwards, and was very fortunate to have the opportunity to do so.
Well, you're talking about competition. I know that you continued to do that in all kinds of athletic endeavors after college, and even your days down in Linfield down there. So, are you still competing today?
Yeah, I am. Maybe not at the same level. Oftentimes, my mind thinks I could do a little bit more than what my body is saying I could do, but yeah, still competing more towards the golf and the pickleball thing as I get a little older. But I'll compete in whatever is thrown my way.
Yeah. And still competing in the high finance world, are you?
I've made my way out of that since moving down to Arizona. I got out of my firm for the most part. I spent 27 years there. And it was time to hang them up, get out of the corporate world and enjoy some of the other things that life has to offer.
Well, it's been a good life, Scott. Congratulations. If you could, just a final comment, sharing with the viewers out there, what it meant to be a Red Devil.
And a lot of pride. Just a lot of pride in being a Red Devil. There was high expectations. I could tell that right away when I got there. A lot of good people. The community is awesome. And so it just, translated over to myself. Just I love being there. And like I said, I'd recommend it to anybody, and it was a good time. So I kind of watched them from afar, and I'm still rooting for them to this day. And
they're still winning.
Yep, still winning, baby. Right.
That's awesome. Well, Scott, on behalf of the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame Committee, it's my honor to officially bestow you induction into the LCC Hall of Fame. We look forward to seeing you here shortly. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I sure appreciate it. Go Red Devils.
Go Devils. Well, welcome back to our LCC Red Devil Hall of Fame special. And our next guest is one of our inductees going in this year. And when she played at LCC, she was Johnna Ballard, and she was a scoring and rebounding machine. Johnna Steenkolk now. And Johnna, hey, great to have you with us here. Congratulations. What did it mean to you to get the word that you're going in the LC Hall of Fame?
Well, I want to say that it's pretty amazing to be honored. I can only imagine all of those players previously to be playing at LC, and it's quite an honor. And so I was a little surprised because I'm thinking about 5 every year that are nominated and receive such an honor. And so I was like, gosh, I would have thought I was a little further out. So it's definitely humbling. Grateful.
It's outstanding. Last time we saw you, you came back to Michael Bus Gym and you helped us honor Molly Schwegler, who ended up being the all-time leading scorer, breaking your record on that. It's going to be great to have you back in the gym for sure. And talk a little bit about when you left Elma. You're an Elma Eagle back in the day, and you were recruited to come to LCC. Was it Leanne Charleston? Was that your head coach your first year?
Yeah, it was Leanne and Fred Russell. They kind of were a dynamic duo. And so I remember thinking to myself, there was a player on that team, Christy Fleming, that I had played against for many years from Aberdeen. And I was like, I really looked up to her. And so I was excited to give a look at the school and see if it was a good fit for me. Also, I had a player that was able to come with me from Alma named Jennifer Fisher. And she was looked at also, and she ended up going and coming to LC. And I don't think I would have had such a phenomenal year if it wasn't for her that, was it the 93 year, 92, 93 year? Just because she was such a wonderful guard. She passed often. And I think we had that familiarity over the years.
Right.
And so it was great. Yeah, no. So I was excited to come, and I know that they already had a pretty established team, and Leanne had a wonderful background in basketball and Fred. And so I just felt like it was a good fit for me. It was close to Elma too. Come on. Who wouldn't want to be close to home?
Yeah, that we always tell recruits from Southwest Washington, we go, hey, far enough to where you're not going home every day, but close enough where you can get a home cooked meal or maybe do your laundry now and then, right?
I agree. And then my sister and brother-in-law lived in Castle Rock, and they were always there videoing the games for me. So that was great to have that piece of family there at almost every game.
Right. Well, after that first year, and then all of a sudden the coaching changed. Leanne left, and I know that's always something that's stressful for any player coming back. I believe it was Deanne Nelson that kind of stepped up and took it for a year, and just that second year, now you're a sophomore leader and all that. I guess the dynamics changed a lot, didn't it?
It did. And there was also the assistant left, Fred, and then there was a Laura that came, and they both had great background in basketball, and they were definitely different. But I don't think it hindered. I think they walked in and looked at what they had and was like, whoa, we had a lot of returnees. We had a lot of people coming back. And so I think they embraced it. And I think they looked at it and thought, gosh, how could we really focus on the strengths of each player? And I think they did a great job. Again, I miss Leanne and Fred, but it kind of caught us off guard they were leaving. But again, it happens.
Hey, it's real life. You got to adjust, right? For sure. I believe it was Laura McInnes you were referring to. Who?
Yes, and she played.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't she play for you guys at Lower Columbia? Yep.
She did. From Mark Morrison, was a great outside shooter, great long-range shooter. That was not your game. Your game was getting on the block, getting down on the post there, and doing work. And boy, you did it a lot. And your time in the program, and were you able to develop your game as in those 2 years?
Yeah, I felt like I did. And then I actually went on and played 2 more years in Lewiston, Idaho. Right. That was a different kind of progression. Also, they had a different style. I mean, as looking back, I would always encourage people to look at the style of the actual team, if it's a run and gun or if it's a setup. Or so I was a little unfortunate that it was more of a run and gun. And again, like we just said, I'm not into the run and gun.
That's right.
I was more of a post player, like a typical post player.
Yeah. And, those are, what's funny is that Lower Columbia has a post player from Adna. Her name's Carly Von Moose, and she just became the all-time leading rebounder in the school, which puts you down 4th on the list now.
These youngins.
These youngins, and yeah, this is a player who's very good in the post, but she can also run, and so you'll get a chance to, you won't get a chance to see her that night on the Hall of Fame because Grays Harbor doesn't have a team this year. But boy, we sure hope you can, come and maybe watch some other games as well. But I guess records are made to be broken, aren't they?
They are made to be broken. And again, I think that the style of play, the elevation of players that are coming now are just phenomenal. So between weight training and all the other pieces that go into it, they're taking it serious. And I think that people that make it outside of high school, they deserve it because they've been working hard for a long time.
That's awesome. I love it. So you're a teacher. You're in the Centralia School District. Tell us what I know. You've got a family and a great life. What's going on?
Yeah, no, I have been teaching in Centralia, same school for maybe 24 years, 3rd grade mostly, and I really enjoy it. I've been married for maybe 17 years, and I have a son that is going to be 15. He's 14 currently, and so yeah, I still go to Alaska and work, which I've been doing even when I was at Lower Columbia working in the fishing industry. And so some of my summer is spent, just throwing fish around. But other than that, it's pretty great. I mean, pinch myself. I'm pretty fortunate. So yeah, no, other than that, I can't complain about much.
Well, hopefully your son can make it as well to the Hall of Fame, because when we saw him when you were here last time, he was just a little, and now you say he's 15 now.
Yes, and he is taller than I am. So again, that's a whole nother thing. I would say I'm a short 6'1". And again, I'm thinking posts nowadays they're growing them a little bit taller than that. I'm sure that you see probably 6'2", 6'3" on an average on most teams for women. And he's gotten tall and everything. He's everything.
All right. Is he playing ball?
He is. He plays. He doesn't. I mean, he's doing the best he can. Yeah. So he plays some ball. He plays. He does golf. He does track, and he plays a little bit of basketball. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome.
So
keep them active for sure. That's the way to do it. If you could, Johnna, just talk a little bit about what your time at Lower Columbia did for you as far as learning teamwork. Learning how to be an adult, learning how to get to the next level, learning how to become a good wife and mother, and just having a good life. Well,
I loved the instant 10 to 12 friends you had. Like most people go off to college and they're by themselves. And so to have a team that supports you, checks up on you, is there for you when you feel homesick or even on the highest moments when you're celebrating with them. We didn't have housing like at a normal university. And so we lived in apartments, and it was always such a fun time. What a hoot. There was laughter, shenanigans often. When I came as a freshman, again, there was Christy Fleming and there was Rochelle and Lindsay that were there, and they just embraced you and kind of showed you around, gave you some support and said, hey, this teacher is going to help you here, and this is what you need to do there. And I liked that. That was probably to know you always had someone there if you were down or even needed someone to help with anything. But also it told me how important lifting weights are. And you have to be a well-rounded player. You have to have your academics, study hall, showing the grades. All of those pieces were in place where you usually you're accountable to your parent when you transfer over. It was more. You had to be eligible to play. So that was something. And then just making sure that you balanced it. You weren't always, you were not just, doing cardio. You had to get some weights in too, so you were a strong player. And then also going into my second year, I felt like I had a different role because I was a sophomore. There was a new coaching staff. And so I felt like I had to be a little bit more of a leader. And so that kind of carried over even throughout my life, I would say. If anyone asks you, I'm usually the first to tell you what I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but no, other than that, I mean, it really set the foundation. I hate to say it was a bridge. I feel like it was a stepping stone in my life instead of a bridge because it was basically an essential part of who I am.
Yeah. Part of the process, for sure.
Part of the process. Yeah. No, and I enjoyed this. The campus was small, which wasn't overwhelming, but yeah, I left with an AA and felt like I was able to go on to a 4-year university and not have a problem with academics. And so I think that Lower Columbia is a great school. It was a great place to go.
Well, I'm proud to say a lot of those same things are going on every year with the success building young people, and we really appreciate it. And then at this time, I guess it's my honor as part of the Hall of Fame committee to bestow this great honor onto you, Johnna Ballard Steenkolk, the latest member of the Lower Columbia Athletics Hall of Fame. Johnna, congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you. I mean, you have really, I think you've done a lot as athletic director, and I appreciate that too. So I was talking to my son this morning. I was talking to about the interview, and he was asking if I've met you. And I said, well, I remember the time he stopped by my school looking for me to talk to me about Molly. And I go, and I mean, you could have just easily made a phone call, but to show up was pretty wonderful. So I appreciate that and what you guys are doing with the program. Just looking and hearing about what you guys are doing is great. And the website, and it sounds like everybody's successful, working hard.
We are, and thank you. Those kind words are great, and we look forward to seeing you at the game and our reception coming up later in February. Johnna, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Go Red Devils.
Go Red Devils.
Well, welcome back to our Hall of Fame special here at Lower Columbia College. And one of our individual inductees, who's also part of the 1992 baseball team that's going in, is with us. And that's Steve Rooklidge. And Steve, great to have you with us here. And I know as you continue your teaching career, and your coaching career has been outstanding. I'm sure you look back at your time at Lower Columbia College pretty fondly, especially being on that championship team. Just talk a little bit about it.
Yes, I do. I feel very grateful and appreciative of the experience I had at Lower Columbia. And I'm not sure in Longview, Kelso area, we realized how great of a situation we have with athletics at LCC. I mean, LCC baseball, especially for decades, has been just, unparalleled in terms of the success we've had, the great coaches, the great players. And we're really lucky in Longview, Kelso, to have what we have. And it's obviously been great efforts of a lot of administrations, a lot of coaches, and a lot of great players. And we've had such a winning tradition. It's really amazing. You can't really look around and see much else like it at a community college level. And I was a part of it for a couple years, and it was a wonderful time. And I feel very lucky to have experienced that.
Well, when you came from Ari Long, it seemed like a bunch of your teammates all came over at the same time. There was a lot of lumberjack love going on at LCC, and the 91 team, you guys fell a little short for the ultimate goal, but still had an awful lot of success. And just talk a little bit about that first team, that 1991 team you were on.
Well, it's interesting thinking back on that. That was a better team than the 92 team in terms of talent. It just was. And as many people who played at Lower Columbia College know and have coached there, sometimes you don't win that tournament, even if you are the best team. And the 91 team was very talented. And the 92 team that my sophomore year was not as talented of a team, but it was a really interesting group of guys. We really liked each other and got along really well. And Scott Lucas, who is being inducted at the same time as me, was my teammate, of course, and he played shortstop, and I played second. And I can't think of a better guy to have played alongside in all respects. But he went to Linfield, and I went to University of Portland afterwards, and we both played there. And I would bet Scott would validate that that 1992 team, that was a really great experience with just a bunch of guys that were great teammates. And I would bet that Scott's experience at Linfield maybe wasn't as special as that LCC experience. I kind of felt that way about my experience 92 at LCC. It was as good or better than my years at University of Portland.
Well, you had great success at Portland, and being successful at LC leads to that, right? I mean, that's how you get recruited to go to the Division I level. Is D1 everything that it shapes up to be when you're trying to get to that level?
Oh yeah, it was a great experience too, and a ton of fun. And I just had a great experience at Lower Columbia College that helped get me to that level, and then helped me appreciate what I accomplished at Lower Columbia College. And there's so many people to thank. Tom Chamberlain, I wasn't a pitcher, but Tom Chamberlain was a guy that our pitchers loved and respected and felt was really a knowledgeable resource and just a great guy to have around. And then Steve Farrington, I played 3 years of Legion for him as well. And he was a guy that was at the ballpark all day. He set the tone for work. I mean, he was one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. And, that had an impact on me. And, that helped create the values in me. And hard work is, probably one of the most important things to be a good college athlete. And I learned that from him. And, and then there were people like Betty Johnson and Carol Carlson and Gary Ernest and Jim Roffler that were around, that were impactful people and were always helping us athletes. And, our Jerry Zimmerman, he was a teacher that stood out that I had in the class. But all those people really helped develop me into the person I was at that time at Lower Columbia College. And then afterwards at University of Portland. And even now, those values that you learn stay with you. And it was just a great experience. And I was very lucky to have went through that.
Yeah. It's funny, not only do those people that you mentioned care so much about the student athletes, but you want to talk about unique personalities. I mean, I'm sure you have a ton of stories to tell that, maybe wouldn't be for everybody that's watching this, but good Lord. Coach Farrington, I mean, you hear the stories of him driving the bus, maybe at times punching himself in the face to stay awake, and, driving his pickup truck out on the field so you don't hit it and you go to the right side. All those great stories of Coach Farrington. Crazy.
Yeah, he was a committed individual. And, as a result, he and we had a lot of success and learned a lot.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, just great people around LC for sure. Well, afterwards, you got into teaching and coaching and down in Oregon, and you decided to come back home and to your alma mater, and then eventually in the school district ended up coaching those two teams to the girls' state championships, the Eaton Twins and all those other great players there. Was there anything that you learned at LCC that you kind of helped to instill you to lead those teams to victory?
Yeah, the values that I learned from my teammates and my coaches and other adults. And, the starting point even before LCC is my parents. My parents, Steve and Joanne Rooklidge, my mom raised 7 kids, and my dad coached all of our teams and ran a business, CED, for years. And they taught me the value of hard work and having good values. And I think that has been something that has carried me throughout my life. And, to do well at LCC and at Ari Long, I think the main thing for me was work. And I learned that from my parents. And then, of course, like I talked about, Steve Farrington in Legion at Lower Columbia College, he was another guy that was a worker. So I think that's the thing that I learned. And I tried to carry that into the teams that I coached and in even the classroom here in the school district, try to teach kids the value of hard work. It's one of those things that everyone can give. And I think it's a life difference maker. But, that's the thing that if I had to focus on one thing, is being a person who's gritty and you're willing to do the work and then you get the most out of what you've got.
Yeah. Hard work usually comes in the form of accolades and just personal satisfaction. What's it mean to you to go into the LCC Hall of Fame, not only by yourself, but also with your teammates?
A lot. As you get older like me, I'm an old guy now. It seems like 1992 was just yesterday, and I remember so many great memories and some of the fun things you mentioned about all the different characters and personalities around LCC and the great teammates I had on the 91 and 92 team. Those are all just fresh in my mind. But it's nice to be appreciated. And, sometimes I forget that I played all those sports and, did those things. And it's not something I talk about a whole lot with people much for some reason. So it's good. It's good to be honored. And I loved my time at LCC. So I'm just thrilled that this honor is being bestowed upon me and lucky.
Well, on behalf of the Hall of Fame committee at Lower Columbia College, it's my honor to officially induct you into the LCC Hall of Fame. And we look forward to seeing you at the induction ceremonies and the party for the 92 team. Steve, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kirk.
Well, welcome back to our Hall of Fame edition, and we're talking softball now. One of the all-time great pitchers of LCC history is with us now, Misty Velke. And Misty, congratulations on your induction into the LCC Hall of Fame. What's it mean to you when you got the word?
Gosh, well, I guess it means all those years of hard work really led to the sense of an accomplishment. Like, it shows that hard work really pays off in the end. That acknowledgement is huge.
Well, you went to the University of San Diego after your great career at Ari Long, and I guess you and I are the only people dumb enough to come back from San Diego to Longview, Washington, because I was a student at San Diego State and came back to my hometown as well. I know good fits with coaches and teams and such, but what went into coming back and spending your sophomore season for Coach Mackin and the Red Devils?
Well, I think I loved softball, and I think I got to the point where I was ready to focus on teaching and just focusing on my education. I was looking at, how far down the line did I want to, continue playing, and I absolutely loved San Diego and my teammates, but I really wanted to end playing softball on a high note, and I thought playing for Mackin.
Well, hey, a high note indeed. You came back and the team won the championship that year. And I know you wouldn't say it, but I will. You dominated. It was incredible. That rise ball of yours was just darn near unhittable at times. Was that just one of those deals where you were in a zone an entire season?
No. No, I guess that Roosevelt was my money pitch all throughout my career. Once my coaching coach Scott Reader taught that to me. No, it was my strikeout pitch in high school. It was my strikeout pitch at USD. So it was not just one season. Fortunately for me, I got to throw quite a few years, and it was my money pitch.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean that you weren't at any other time, but boy, at the NWAC level, it was really great. Talk about that 2000 season when you came back, because it was kind of funny. Jen Librand is going into our Hall of Fame as well. She dominated the year before you came back. Then she took a year off and then came back and won a championship the next year. But just talk a little about what are your memories of that 2000 team?
Well, because a handful of them were local girls, I played previously competitively with them and against them, so it was a fabulous team to join. I remember pitching for, a few months with Jen before she left, and that season, I remember coming back from USD, and I would pitch one game, have one game, and I'll never forget that first time back and be like, "You're back up for game 2." And I was like, "What?" Okay, I got ready and take quick, and by the end of the season, I loved every minute of it. So it's great.
Was your arm hanging at the end of the year, or were you ready to pitch some more?
Fortunately, my coaching coach, he taught me kind of a great form, so I'd never had arm issues throwing underhand. Overhand a few times, I got a sore arm throwing from those long distances, but not pitching them.
Well, the underarm motion is a natural motion, that's for sure. And boy, there was nobody better. There was just so many great players on that team. And I know we're going to have our reunion coming up. I believe that'll be on April 26th over at TAMO over there. And not only the 2000 team, your team, but the 2001 squad together. So that's going to be fun. Who are some of the folks you really remember during that 2000 year?
Well, I remember my catcher, Kara, was being so catcher always stands out. And, a few of our infielders came up at shortstop, so quite a few players I remember. My catcher always would stand out.
Oh, yeah. Pitchers and catchers all on the same page for sure. Misty, Coach Mackin had incredible success. I know they won in '94, but then all of a sudden things just took off, and 10 NWAC championships, and never a dull moment with Tim Mackin. Just talk about your memories playing for the Hackman.
Well, I appreciated his understanding and knowledge of the game. He really unified the team and got the players to work well for that. It became a well-oiled team.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Right. Well, Misty, you've been a teacher. How long you been a teacher in the Longview School District?
Oh gosh. You're 19 for me, so it's all been here in Monticello. You're 19, but overall 21.
It's kind of cool to be in your home area and just establishing the relationships and with the kids. How is it coaching youngsters at the middle school level these days?
Well, every day is fun. I enjoy it. I haven't done as far as coaching pitching, I haven't done much of that recently, but as far as in the classroom, every day is fun.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Misty, it's great to have you in our Hall of Fame, and on behalf of the Hall of Fame committee, it's my pleasure to officially induct you into the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame. Thank you for a great season, and thank you for a great teaching career. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back to our Hall of Fame show here tonight as we're having a visit with all of our inductees in the 2025 Hall of Fame this year. And with us here is a true local legend. We've got Bob Rose with us now, who's going into the LCC Hall of Fame. And Bob, congratulations. What were your thoughts when you found out you're going into your alma mater's Hall of Fame?
Shocked and very happy. This is a big surprise. And anyway, I love LCC, and I've been dealing with them since 1966. So quite a while, either playing for them or refereeing or just being around everybody, working all the tournaments there, the baseball tournaments, the NWAC. It's been quite a ride.
Well, your service to the college has been amazing. And for many years, I know as a member of the Booster Club, you kind of had to keep it on the down low with the Rose Tree Restaurant as the sponsor. And of course, your family, big supporters there. But I guess probably not a good look to have Bob Rose on the booster list when you're in there working a game, right?
Well, I was always worried about that. I'd be standing there looking up at the wall where all the plaques were, and I sure didn't want to see my name up there, that's for sure. And I know the opposing coaches really didn't want to see it either, but you know, it's actually a good thing. And you know, it was just awesome to get to support them and referee them at the same time.
Yeah. Well, Bob, let's talk about your couple of years as a baseball player at Lower Columbia College. Talk about those 2 years, because it's kind of before LCC exploded on the scene with baseball when, I don't know, Jack Riley showed up and Ed Sheff and all those guys. But what were the days and what were the memories you have of those 2 years playing baseball here?
They were great years, especially the first year. It was all local kids, R.A. Long, Mark Morris, Kelso, Woodland, Rainier, Wayne Lapine from Rainier. And we meshed really well. And actually, we did pretty good. We took second behind Clark. That's when Clark was really good. And I don't know, we had road trips. We could get in a car, we get 5, 6 guys in a car and go to the games. That was our transportation. And anyway, we just had a blast. We played poker at night and baseball during the day. It was great times.
You know, it's funny because you look at rosters of today and there's 40 guys, 38 to 40 guys on a roster. Back then, it seemed like there was the Iron 12.
It was 12 to 14 players. Yeah, in the pitching, you know, you didn't have all these pitchers. You had like 4 or 5 pitchers, and I tell you what, when they started, they had to finish or close to it, or you know, the game didn't get done by that. It was crazy.
Now, who were the coaches for you the 2 years you were there?
The one coach, Oscar Lemaire, he was awesome. He became a good friend. He really cared about his players. He recruited me. This is how recruiting went back then. We played LCC in Castle Rock on the sand pit because LCC couldn't get any games. It was a wet spring. So he went up to Castle Rock and played us, and I had a pretty good game. And after the game, he says, "What are you going to do next year?" And I says, "I don't know." He says, "Well, come play at LCC." And I says, "Okay." And that was it. That was the recruit right there.
Yeah, the Big O, and a fellow Hall of Famer.
Yes, great guy.
Yeah, the late great Oscar Lemaire. That's outstanding. So Bob, you got into refereeing, and you're one of the best. I mean, I'll say it, especially in the NWAC. I mean, you were always a well-respected guy, and just talk a little bit about some of the great memories you've had, not only just in the high school ranks, but refereeing in the NWAC.
The NWAC was always very special to me. As soon as I got high enough up the ladder to get that, which I did climb fast, because it was in the 80s when I started going to the NWAC, and I went to over 20 to 25 NWAC tournaments. I was very lucky. and I just always look forward to the NWACs. It was such a great time, great people, and pretty good basketball. And that's what I like, the level of basketball at the college level. It was really good. We got to see a lot of good players go through there that went D1 and some pro. And anyway, it was a real good ride. And I was lucky enough to get to go to that many and do quite a few championship games.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you've done some big games at LCC that are big games that featured LCC in them. Were you always conflicted a little bit with that? Because I know that never has there been any kind of, you call them as you see them, and but was it always, were you more excited when you're doing an LCC game, or are you more apprehensive knowing that, probably going to be even more scrutiny?
Actually, it didn't bother me that I had LCC, even though in the back of my mind I knew that's my home, and I have to come back home after the tournament, and I'd run into the coaches and some of the players, but it didn't bother me, and I could call a game, and it didn't conflict with me who was playing. And that was a good asset that I had, is I just call them, like you said, like I see them, and it worked out. And I did have a championship game for Lower Columbia, and they won it. So that was a plus. That was a very good feeling.
That was awesome. But people think you have enough time to rattle that all through your head. Oh, wait a minute, this is LC. I'm not going to, you got to make the call, right? And you have a split second to do it. And boy, did you make a lot of really great calls over the years. And dealing with the coaches at LCC, what a cast of characters. Gary Ernest, Jimmy Roffler. Those guys, longtime coaches, Mike Polis. Knowing those guys and interacting with them during the games, it didn't look like there were too many times where you had to get too angry with them.
No, Gary was first, and a very good friend, and we actually played ball together during the summer, fast pitch softball. So that was a little bit of a problem, but he is such a competitor, and I was such a competitor that when I put the stripes on and he was coaching on the sideline, we just left it at that, and I went about my business, and he did too, and he wasn't afraid to yell at me, and I wasn't afraid to bark back, and that made our relationship stronger as years went on. And with Mike, he actually stayed away from me. He respected me, and we had no troubles. And then, of course, Jimmy Ray Roffler. Oh, what a character he was. We had a lot of fun on the sidelines chatting back and forth, because I started refereeing him when he was in high school at the District A tournament, then the state tournament. So that was quite a ride with him. That was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
I'd always see referees going by, and Jimmy would say something to them, and then they'd have a big smile on their face. You'd always have a line or something that would lighten the mood, even if he was mad about a call. Did you ever ref with his father, Rabbit Roffler?
No, I did not. But I got to know him very well going to the state tournaments, and then just meeting him when Jimmy was playing, and just other tournaments, because he was a referee and he went to the tournaments like we did, and we got to know him and his wife, and great people and great storyteller. Oh my gosh. And he was quite a character, and I loved to watch him when Jimmy was coaching. Oh, he was a nervous wreck. I felt sorry for him, but great guy, great person.
Yeah, for sure. Well, a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of former athletes at Lower Columbia that give back, not only through sponsoring the Booster Club, but with their time. And the NWAC baseball championships that we're coming up on, I think, our 20th year in a row hosting that thing. And some people don't know that yourself, you've donated your Memorial Day weekend to be the scorekeeper, to be the official scorer, and people like Steve Sweet, who gives up his time, as the scoreboard operator and all that. It's just, I guess it's all part of the community that is being in the Red Devils Nation.
Yeah, we have so much fun at the NWACs. I started doing that when Gary got the tournament in Longview, way back when you could burn the field, for crying out loud, to get a game in. That was quite a year. But we've been doing that forever, and we've become such close friends up there in the press box. It's unbelievable. We all look forward to it. It's just a great time. And anyway, my phone rang. I'm trying to get a 2B tournament in and out of this weather thing. But anyway, it's such a great time when we look forward to the Memorial Weekend every year, including this year. I'll be there this year. Looking
Awesome.
forward to it, and it's just a blast. It's a family affair up there.
It is indeed. And so is the Lower Columbia Hall of Fame. And, with your phone blowing up and trying to get things scheduled, we're going to let you go. But Bob, what I will say on behalf of the Hall of Fame committee, it is our pleasure to put you into the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Bob.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very honored.